What is going on, guys? Newton here with MMO Player, bringing you guys my top 5 biggest changed classes in World of Warcraft Legion. As many of you guys know who haven't played the game or are looking to come back or currently still do play the game and are keeping up to date with some of the news that's coming out in World of Warcraft Legion, there's a lot of classes that are changing quite a bit in this coming expansion, which is not a bad thing. It's really cool, it's really nice, and I think they're doing a great job with it to make each class that had some little bit of flaws or didn't feel too unique to themselves really bring some uniqueness to every single class in the game, giving the player a lot more options when it comes down to certain classes and specs. So let's go ahead and get right into it in my top 5 list of the best or the biggest class changes that are coming to WoW. Alright guys, so kicking off number 5 on our list is Fury Warriors. Fury Warriors are getting a decent amount of change, and I'll kind of briefly go over how they'll do it. And I'm not going to spend too long talking about each class, just because I can go on for, 5 or 10 minutes talking about the changes to each class. I'm going to go over them very briefly and explain how they're changing and why I'm excited for it. So Fury Warriors. Fury Warriors are becoming a very fast attacking melee class. Now, they were pretty much a powerhouse before, and they're becoming an even stronger powerhouse and a very fast attacking class now, which makes me really excited for them. Now, they have a few skills that are kind of make them very powerful and pretty much like fighting a brick wall in PvP or come PvE. They're gonna be a very tough class to kind of kill. They're gonna be very tanky even in their other specs. They're gonna have a lot of survivability, and especially Fury is gonna be very fast attacking with a lot of fast damage output. So going off with how they're gonna be very tanky or very tough. They have Bloodthirst. It's a melee attack. It's going to be on your active rotation. It has a 4.5 second cooldown. I believe that's up from 4 seconds, so a little bit of a nerf there. But it does generate 10 rage for you and restores 5 health every time you use it. That's a pretty decent heal. That's not too bad. And it does additional damage when you're with critical strikes and other things like that. So not too bad, pretty good skill, decent amount of healing, pretty tough. Next they have Enrage. Enrage basically makes you take 30% more damage, but you attack 100% faster. That's crazy when mixed with Frenzy, which is a talent they have. For example here, if you stack Frenzy, which is a rage spender, it increases your haste by 5% and stacks up to 5 times. So that's 25% increased haste along with 100% increased attack speed with Enrage. They're going to be a very fast attacking skill or a class when they have max stacks and skills popped or their cooldowns popped. So it's going to be a very fun, fast class, and it's a little bit different of a feel for a classic warrior. You have this big dual-wielding BV class that's going to be coming at you and attacking very fast, dealing lots of damage over a short time. So it's going to be a really cool class. A little bit of changes there. It makes me really excited about it because I enjoyed Fury Warriors before, but they're changing to be a very fast attacking melee class, which sounds super interesting and makes me excited for them. So that's pretty much about it, just briefly on how Fury Warriors are changing. Alright guys, so number 4 on our list is Balanced Druids. Balanced Druids are changing a good deal, and it makes me really excited for them because I do main a Druid, and I love the class, I love each spec, but Balance was my least favorite of the 4 specs that Druids had, and I wasn't a fan of it because I kind of had that lunar and solar cycle that you kind of went back and forth between. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Druids kind of had they had an interesting rotation where if you're in the solar form of the class that lasted for so long, you'd use solar skills in your solar rotation, and then it would switch over to lunar, and then you'd use your lunar skills in your lunar rotation and other things like that. So you kind of had to cycle back and forth, and some people liked it, but a lot of people didn't like it as well. So the thing is, they basically completely got rid of that. They kind of got really completely got rid of that that back and forth kind of play with the class, and it made it much more straightforward and easier to pick up the class and learn it. Now, if you're new to the game and you picked the Balanced Druid, some people didn't like it, and it was a little bit confusing to kind of get the hang of. It wasn't too bad, but I wasn't really a fan of it, and some others weren't a fan of it as well. They basically took Balanced Druid and really simplified them this time around. So it's basically a class that primarily maintains dots on enemies, which is damage over time. So there's gonna be a lot of damage over time, and that's a lot of their skills basically are based around. They're gonna deal a lot of damage with that, And with this, they have two different dots that they have, Moonfire and Sunfire, that you can actively keep up 100% of the time. You don't have to wait for them to go back and forth for the increased damage, which is really nice. And they have some other skills that they can use, and basically, instead of the back and forth kind of system, they have something called Astral Power, which works in the same ways as Warriors build Rage. Basically, you have skills that build Rage, and you fill this bar. Once the bar is filled, you'll use this Astral Power to dump it into stronger skills. So basically you have a rotation, keep cycling through it. Once the bar is filled, go ahead and use it to release stronger skills and deal a lot of damage. Now what this does is it really simplifies druids or balanced druids, and I think they're going to be a lot stronger come Legion, and especially in PvP. Now, balanced druids are extremely hard to deal with in PvP, and not a lot of people like going against them because they're pretty strong, they're tough to deal with, and they never die. But it's definitely going to seem like they're going to be much stronger. It seems like there's going to be a really big buff just in the class and just in how the class plays. So it's going to be pretty interesting come the time that people play them in Legion and see how they do in PvP. They're definitely going to be much stronger in PvE, I think. I think there's going to be a much simpler system. It's going to be really easy to maintain dots and make sure you're doing everything correctly with the class to maintain optimal damage with all of your skills. So pretty big changes coming to Druid. Their playstyle is changing considerably, and something to definitely take note of. In one class I'm pretty excited for that I will definitely be trying out once again once the expansion drops. Alright guys, number 3 on our list is DKs. Basically, Death Knights in general are being changed a good deal, but I kind of want to focus on Blood DKs because they're becoming really, really tanky. They're going to kind of be basically an unstoppable wall, I think, when it comes to PvE, raiding, fighting bosses, or anything. They're going to have a lot of self-sustain and survivability. But generally, DKs in general are changing quite a bit. Now, DKs are focused on runic power, or having this rune system that not a lot of people were a fan of. For newer players, it was kind of confusing to pick up or to kind of learn this class just because it was a little bit different, and some skills were situational, some skills you had to use in your rotation and as you cycled through, and some people weren't a fan of it. I really wasn't a fan of DKs too much. I didn't like them just because of the rune system, and I know a lot of other people didn't like it as well. So what they did with the rune system, instead of having two of each of these 3 different runes that you could use for different skills and to make sure you had optimal, or you had runes available to use on your rotation, basically they just completely got rid of these runes, and you still have runes, but they're all the same. Each skill will use 1 or 2 runes. You have 3 different types of runes and 2 of each. Now you just have 1 type of rune and then 6 of them. So basically you have a lot more decision making, or a lot more options to make decisions come your rotation. You can use a lot more skills. You don't have to actively watch your cooldowns and other things like that. DKs became much more simple to play, which is really nice, makes me excited. I was a fan of DKs, their lore, and how they worked. I just wasn't a fan of the gameplay and executing their rotations. So one thing about Blood DKs is they're getting really tanky, and 2 skills I kind of want to point out here is Blood Strike. Blood Strike is basically instantly strike an enemy, causing moderate physical damage, and infected the victim with Blood Plague, which is basically a dot. So, and as you spread this, the disease deals minor shadow damage and heals the caster for 1% of their maximum health every 3 seconds for 30 seconds. That's not bad. Basically, you're going to keep this up all the time. And when you do that, you actively have health or healing done to you, so it kind of takes the pressure off healers, which is really nice. And the next thing I want to point out is Morrowind. It uses 2 runes. It's melee, it's instant, smash the target, dealing strong physical damage, generating 3 charges of Bone Shield. So every time you do this, you generate Bone Shield. Bone Shield is really nice. It reduces all damage you take by 25%. That is really good. So not only do you have constant healing coming to you for the duration that enemies are hit with this plague, you also have Bone Shield with active damage reduction, which is really great. Now they have some other skills to kind of make them tanky with healing and other things like that, but I don't want to spend too long. I don't want to drag this video out, but basically DKs are becoming much more simple to play. It's a nice new system. I think it's going to make a lot more sense to a lot more people. And Blood DKs are going to be an unstoppable brick wall. So that's pretty much it when it comes to DKs. Quickly going over it. Alright guys, number 2 on our list is Priest. Priests are being changed a good amount, but most notably is Shadow Priest. Shadow Priests are getting a huge overhaul, and I gotta say, it's about time. Shadow Priest is one of those classes I really wanted to enjoy. I really wanted to play them, get good at them, and really play them, but it never worked out every time I did. I always went back to my Holy Priest just to heal. Now, the changes they're doing to Shadow Priest, to kind of go over very briefly, is they're changing them quite a bit and making them a lot more simple to use and easy for newer players. They did have a confusing rotation. They had like a dot base class, or that you could go dotless with them. It was there's a lot of different options, and basically with Shadow Priest there's kind of no room for kind of messing up your rotation. You had to kind of perfectly execute the class to get optimal and really good DPS out of them. Now, they were a good class. If you could play them very well and actively keep on your rotation and make all the good choices with the classes, the damage output for Shadow Priest was great. They did a good amount of damage, but if you did not know how to play them and you're kind of new to the class, the damage output for them was very low. There was a huge gap between someone kind of casually playing the class and then who really knew how to play the class. It was kind of either you're good or you're really bad with the class. There's no in between. So, basically with them, what's changing them is, they kind of have some new skills. They're a little bit more simple to use, and they have this new system called Insanity. Now, they use Insanity. This kind of works the same as Druids or Warriors, or Balanced Druids, I should say, come the revamp for the class. You're going to use skills to kind of build this Insanity, and once you reach this 100% Insanity, basically you go into this alternate form, which increases your damage, gives you access to other skills and other things like that, and it's something that you kind of want to keep up all the time. So you're going to want to keep this Insanity levels pretty much peaked out pretty much all the time. It's going to give you access to basically a lot of your skills and the most damage output for the class. Now, the class is getting a little bit more simple. There's a lot of changes coming to it. There's a lot of things in Shadow Priest currently right now, but I don't want to spend too much time on the videos, but they are changing a considerable amount. And like I said, the whole way they use the class is, like I said, similar to how Balanced Druids and Warriors work, but you're going to want to keep this bar completely filled all the time, because that's where a lot of your damage is going to be coming from. So a lot of the skills are staying here, but basically the rotation is getting a little bit more simple, and there are some changes coming to Disc Priests as well. They're basically not so reliant on shields. They're having a little bit more healing, a little bit better of a balance when it comes to the class, but generally that's pretty much the changes coming to Priest, and it's one of the biggest changes coming in Legion. I think Shadow Priest got a huge overhaul, a huge revamp when it comes to the class changes that they're doing come this expansions, and it's one that's really, really well noted, because it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be more accessible to a lot more people, and it's not going to be a class that's super advanced for someone who's really good at the game or is good at keeping track of other things. It's going to be a really accessible class for a lot more people, and it's one I think I'm going to try out once again. Like I said, I really wanted to like them. It was kind of a love-hate relationship with the class. I really wanted to play the class and learn it, but it just, I don't know, it never felt good every time I played it. It just wasn't a class for me, but something I'm definitely going to go back and try out come time of the expansion. Alright guys, and number 1 on our list is Hunters. Survival Hunters are completely different. This class is not even going to be the same to what it is right now. So Survival Hunters are basically melee hunters now. Hunters were always a ranged class. They used their bows, they had their pets, and so on. Survival Hunters are basically took everything you know about Survival Hunters pre-Legion and throw it out the window. This class is a full-on melee class now with the help and use of pets. It is really cool. I wasn't a fan of Hunters before just because I don't often play ranged classes. I'm usually someone who tends to like to heal or play melee classes just because they're, I don't know, I enjoy them more in PvP, and they're a good deal of fun in PvE as well. But Survival Hunters got me really excited. Now, if I were to compare them to another class, I guess I really can't, because it's so different. I did not play back in the time when Hunters did have melee weapons. It was a little bit before my time, but I know a lot of people are really excited about melee hunters, and just to have a spec dedicated to a hunter with their pet using melee weapons has a lot of people excited about it. So what's cool about hunters is they get to use pets, but come Legion, only two of their three specs are allowed to use pets. So survival get a pet with their melee attacks and so on, and then beast mastery. So the third spec, which I believe is marksman, does not get any pets. So a good amount of changes coming to each spec when it comes to hunters. But I gotta say the biggest changes that's coming to this game for one class specifically has to be survival hunters. Now, what's cool about this, and I do have a friend that plays hunters, and he tells me how excited he is and a lot of the cool things, because he did play back in the day when hunters did have melee weapons. So it seems like a lot of their old melee skills that hunters had way back in the day are coming back with some changes to it, which is really cool. It's something that I know a lot of other people are excited, and it makes me excited as well, because it's a class that's it's a little bit different, and I want to try it out. Now, there are other pet classes in the game, such as warlocks or beast mastery hunters, but like I said, those are both range and with the use of pets. So having a melee class with the help of a pet is going to be really cool, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But not only that, mechanical pets are coming as well to that are going to be available to hunters, and I know a lot of people are excited for that. And like I said, I have a friend who mains hunter who's absolutely ecstatic about mechanic pets, and I know he's super excited. But as you can see here, it's basically it's gonna be a pretty straightforward melee class. They have some other things. They're gonna use some dots and other things like that with the help and the use of applying CCs and other things like that. A lot of their damage output is going to come from their pet, so it's kind of a good mix between utilizing your pet very efficiently and utilizing your melee skills very efficiently, which is going to make this class really cool, interesting, and fun. So we have a few skills here. I'll kind of go over them. So we have harpoon. Hurl a harpoon as a target, pull yourself towards them. So it's kind of like a charge. If you played hunters, it kind of acts just like that. This roots them in place for 3 seconds. Pretty good. We have Raptor Strike. It uses 20 focus. A Vicious Slash, dealing moderate physical damage. We have Lacerate. Tear wound in the target, dealing heavy damage over 12 seconds. So like I said, melee with some dots. It kind of makes sense having kind of a survival hunter, or just the feel of them. It's going to be very up close, using your pet, inflicting lots of damage and wounds to the target. Next we have Mongoose Bite, a brutal attack attempting to sever the enemy's limbs, dealing strong physical damage. Each consecutive Mongoose Bite dealt within 3.5 seconds of the last will deal 50% increased damage. So this is something you're going to want to keep on your rotation, and you're going to be spamming Mongoose Bite quite a bit. So this could be deal a lot of damage at first, and then just continuously increasing damage over time. So it's a very interesting skill. I'm excited for this class. I'll definitely be trying it out. And they have some other skills. Go ahead and check these out. So we have Flanking Strike. You and your pet attack the target simultaneously, each dealing strong damage. So like I said, a good balance between damage output from your pet and yourself. It's going to be pretty cool. It's not just you. You will have to rely on your pet as well, because a lot of their damage output is going to come from them. If the target is attacking you, your pet will deal 50% increased damage and threat. If not, your attack will deal 50% increased damage. So either you or your pet's gonna be doing increased damage. So like I said, a good balance between the two. Really cool, really excited about that. We have Wing Clip, maims the target, reducing their movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Really good for PvP. Basically, you are a melee class now, so you're going to want to have a lot of slows and CCs so you can actively keep up with the target and stay on top of them. And then the Mastery, your pet's attacks have a 20% with Mastery from typical gear. Chance to grant an additional charge of Mongoose Bite. So as you can see here, every time you use Mongoose Bite, and the more times you use it and you actively use it, it's going to deal increased damage. So stacking that mastery will have your pet additionally deal an extra Mongoose Bite every once in a while, which is really good. So you're going to have a lot of damage output from Mongoose Bite if you're keeping this up and you have an efficient amount of mastery. So really cool, really good. A lot of great changes coming to the game. I'm really excited for. Each class is really going to feel different. Some other things that are changing, such as I didn't mention here, is rogues. Each spec when it comes to rogues are going to feel very different. A lot of people did complain. I know some people said, I've never played a rogue, but they said each spec did feel pretty similar to some manner. Now, there was a little bit of difference between each one, but to a point, they did feel a little bit similar. And I know they're going to change quite a bit, and people are excited about it. So each class is really going to be pretty unique compared to their other specs, and that's why I'm extremely excited about Legion. It has a lot to offer, and I think they're going in a lot of good directions come fixing the game, or I wouldn't say fixing the game, to really bringing new life and new appeal to the game. It's not just feeling stale, things aren't staying the same, there's a lot of changes, it's really exciting, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. Now, if there's a class that's changing quite a bit that I did not mention in this video that you guys are excited for, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys play, what you guys are excited about. Like I said, I didn't want to drag this video out for too long because I could go on for probably an hour on each class doing some research and everything like that, and I kind of wanted to briefly go over each one to kind of let you know of the brief changes that are coming very quickly. But go ahead and let me know what you guys play in the comments down below. I would love to hear what classes you guys play and what you're excited for. But other than that, guys, if you guys have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. But until next time, guys, I will talk to you later.